we're right at another speaker. Hope you guys are ready to learn about social media because if you're not, well, you're gonna. All right, Cameron, take them away.
Hey y'all, my name is Cameron M. Buckner. The M stands for Monet, and that's where I am on social media. Cameron Monet on Instagram as well as YouTube. Those are my primary platforms. I'm so excited to have you guys here to talk about all things social media, branding, and marketing, which is so important, especially during times like this when we're all online a lot more, we're working remote, and all of the things. So, in today's speech, I will be talking about three main categories, and I broke it down into purpose, platforms, and your plan. So let's just go ahead and dive into it. I like to start off by saying, remember, social media is social. It's a social platform. You have to interact to start to build your brand online. And the building the brand will help you with your marketing strategies while you're online. So don't be afraid to put some comments in the comment section if you have any questions when I'm talking about different topics as we go throughout today's little speech. So first, I want to start off by saying your purpose, there are many different ways you can do with your purpose. Create your impact. You can have a focus on building your business. You can have a focus on building clientele. You can have a focus on simply just creating your personal brand because people buy from people, which is why it's so important now to have some type of social media presence. I always like to say my personal brand is my business. They're really one and the same when you think about it like that, because who you present yourself personally is who people are going to connect your business and your brand too. So make sure that when you're coming up with your personal brand and your business brand, they kind of coincide. Moving on to the platforms, because the purpose is kind of personal. So I don't want to say this is what you need to say or this is how it should be for you, because it definitely varies person to person. So focus on those two elements, whether it's an impact or building your business, and you should be set to go. So let's talk about platforms because this is going to be the main topic of today's speech. So there's several different platforms, as you all know. We have Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, like you name it. There are so many different platforms. It can feel overwhelming. There is absolutely no reason you need to be on every single platform. Each platform has a purpose. Kind of bringing in that purpose word again. Each platform has a purpose, and you want to make sure that you're utilizing each platform for that specific purpose. So let's start with Facebook. Facebook is great for community building, relationship building, and of course, family and friends as well. But when you're focusing on the business aspects and you want to grow your brand and you want to grow your marketing, you want to think of Facebook as a community, not only just the groups, but also on your personal Facebook page. So let's jump into groups first. I think there are a variety of different ways you can use Facebook groups. Don't be afraid to use it for membership groups. You can have people where it's an exclusive Facebook group and you can get a small payment to get exclusive details about your business, your brand, your company, or whatever the case may be. For example, I have a private Facebook membership group called the Legal Tea Social. It's specifically for prospective law students as well as current law students. I was accepting a monthly payment. I now canceled that to be free for other purposes, but it's a great way for you to make a little bit of an additional income. Also, you can make a public Facebook group. And with this, there are so many benefits to start to build that community. It's a very niche targeted audience. Say you want a Facebook group where it's going to be only people that love knitting. So now you have this big group of women and men that love to knit. And then later on, you want to sell them a product that's going to help them with that knitting service. They're going to be your target audience. That's going to be a specific group you can now sell product to, even though the membership technically is free, but that's still a way for you to pitch your specific resources and products and services to that group. So don't be afraid to use Facebook groups for a variety of different ways. Don't be afraid of Facebook groups. There are so many different ways for you to monitor those groups, whether you want to have other people help you monitor the group, or you can have different moderators and admins, or you can even set it up where you have specific keywords that cannot be used in your group. So don't feel overwhelmed with Facebook groups. I know they can be tricky, but there are so many different ways to utilize them in your branding and in your business. Let's talk about Instagram. That's one of my favorite platforms, if I do say so myself. Instagram is great when it comes to, and I will be looking down. I try to take some notes to make sure that I'm not all over the place because your girl does, I do love to talk, okay? So on Instagram, to me, that's really where you're going to build your brand and bring awareness to who you are and build credibility. When I do a Google search on someone, whether it's a brand, company, business, the first thing I do is I look on their Instagram. It's a great way for me to see them as a person personally, as well as a business. That is also a way for you to have that one-on-one connection with your potential clients. Because again, people buy from people, not just a brand name. They want to see who you are as a person. They want to hear the story behind the brand, the story behind the company. which is why I think Instagram is a great platform to do so. Also, Instagram is a great platform to connect with other people. Some other platforms just make it difficult for you to actually connect with your audience. And what I mean by that is Instagram has direct messages. You can send voice messages. I do that all the time. I get a new follow from maybe a dream brand or a dream client, and I'm like, just a quick message. Thank you so much for following me. I would love to connect. Or thank you so much for reaching out, or whatever the case may be. That's a way for you to now rope in your new audience and your new clients so they can build that personal connection with you. So then now when you launch something, a service, a product, or you want to build your clientele, they're going to be more willing to come to you because they have that sort of a personal relationship with you on Instagram. And let's talk about consistency while we're talking about Instagram as well as Facebook and other platforms as well. Consistency doesn't mean every single day. It doesn't. Consistency means you being consistent in whatever capacity you're able to do so. So for instance, on my Instagram, I'm a little bit different. I overdo it because I am a social media content creator as well as an attorney. But with my Instagram, I post on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. I realize that those days I'm able to consistently post, as well as those days my audience is engaged. And another way to test to see if your audience is engaged is just try different methods. Give it about 2 to 3 weeks, so then you're able to see if the audience is kind of catching on to your new rhythm. But when you're consistent, your audience can adjust to your consistency. Because think about it like a TV show. We all know our favorite TV show comes on at 7. So at 7, we're going to be ready to watch that show. But if we didn't know what time the show was on, we wouldn't even know what time to turn on the TV or to show up or to support or anything, because we don't know when the person is posting or when the TV show is going live. So think about it like that with your social media platforms. You want to build a consistency. It doesn't have to be as much as I'm posting. It doesn't have to be at a specific time necessarily, but at least if you know a day at minimum, because I know that could be intimidating. Like, okay, on Mondays, every day I have to post at 3. And that's just unrealistic when life happens and our businesses are growing and we have other things to maintain. But if you can focus on at least 2 days out the week where you're posting on your social media platform, I guarantee you're going to grow, and I guarantee you're going to build that organic audience because they're going to know when you're going to show up. Also, with that, don't just post any type of content. If it's a day and you're like, okay, I'm going to post on Mondays and Wednesdays, but Wednesday something comes up and you're not able to curate a post that's going to have value, don't just post anything. You want to make sure your content, of course, has value and you're building and you have quality in your content as well. Something else I like about Instagram is that it allows you to have a variety of different forms of content. With that, so you have photo, you have video, you have short form, you have long form with IGTV. You have reels. You can be creative on there. You can do the same thing on Facebook, but I've noticed that with Facebook, it's a little bit different when it comes to the different forms. Instagram is a lot more, I guess, accepting of a variety of different forms when it comes to you trying to grow, because that's the purpose of being on social media. You want to build a brand, you want to gain an audience, you want to build credibility, and in order to do so, you want to, like I said, know that platform's purpose. And I believe Instagram is a great place for you to test out different content forms. So don't be afraid of doing video. It's okay to mess up. I'm messing up as we do this. It's okay to go live. But video content tends to be consumed a lot better with a variety of different audiences. I don't know about y'all, but I love watching someone explain something in video format as opposed to just putting a photo and me reading the caption. But it definitely depends on what you're presenting and what content you want to be reposted and posted in general. So for example, if I want to post like a tips, for instance, like 3 tips, I could do it in a video, but I could also do it in the caption. So then I'm able to get that reposted, and then now other people are going to come to my platform, etc. Now let's go ahead and move on to LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I'm sure we're all familiar with that, but there are so many different things about LinkedIn that a lot of people just don't utilize, myself included. But it depends on also where your audience is. You want to know, who are you talking to? Am I talking to a younger crowd? Am I talking to the Gen Z? They are definitely on TikTok and all those things, but you do not have to talk to everyone. You want to talk to your specific audience and who you're targeting. LinkedIn is just a great place for you to keep your business up to date, yourself up to date. And then every once in a while, maybe post an update on your LinkedIn feed and then see other people like it and support you and interact. And speaking of interacting, you should be interacting on all your platforms. Like I said in the beginning, social media is social. You have to interact to gain traction and for people to find out who you are, because there's millions, billions of people online, and you want to build your little corner of the internet in each platform where you see fit. Also about LinkedIn, it's not just a business platform. You can talk about other things, talk about your extracurricular activities, put something on there that maybe, oh, I'm a freelancer with photography and things like that. That's a space where you can show your creative side and show other things about you rather than just throwing, I'm a business person and that's it. People want to get to know you. Again, people want to know the story behind the business, story behind the brand. So don't be afraid to step outside those bounds, because a lot of times you're going to attract a variety of different people when you do so. Now, Twitter, this is a great space to interact with other lawyers, other politicians, other people in your field, or whatever the case may be, because I think Twitter is a great place to connect. It's also a great place to grow as well, because you get the retweets, you get the viral comments. But the best way in my opinion, to grow on Twitter is to pay attention to those hot topics, see what's trending at the moment, and then play off that if you're able to. Of course, don't talk about something that doesn't relate to your brand, because going back to your purpose, you want to make sure everything you're doing aligns with your purpose, with your brand and your company and your business. So definitely engage with those hot topics on Twitter. If you're great with your words, you're great with quotes or the tips and tricks you want to give, keep consistent with that. Again, the consistency. Maybe it's only once a week you're tweeting, or maybe Twitter is your main platform where you're constantly posting every day. Just make sure it's something that you can sustain and that's reasonable for you to sustain. And then I also want to talk about YouTube. Of course, there's other platforms, but these are kind of like the main platforms that people tend to go on. YouTube is a great platform. It is owned by Google. It is a search engine platform, which is why I love it. Keywords, all of the things. If you don't, you should have a website, but if you don't, YouTube is also a great place to kind of build that traction when it comes to keywords and research and all those things. I don't want to go too in depth about the tech that comes behind YouTube, but YouTube is a great platform for long-term content and evergreen content. Think about it. When I'm Googling something, YouTube videos tend to pop up. Imagine if you built the credibility as, let's say you're an entertainment lawyer. You built the credibility to the point where if somebody searches entertainment law tips and tricks, or how to build a media kit from an entertainment perspective, or whatever the case may be in your industry, and your video comes up, they're clicking that, and now they have access not only to your video content, but to your social media platforms, to your website, to your discovery calls, to your consultation calls, and everything in between. So don't be afraid to utilize each platform to their full capacity, to their full potential, and don't be afraid to go live. I think that's an area where people miss a lot of opportunities by going live on these platforms. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, you name it, they all have a live function for a purpose. People want to get to know you. People want to know who you are. You can have the great branding colors. You can have the great branding logos, which I will show you guys my branding guide in a moment. But you want to create a voice behind your brand. And in order to do so, I truly believe you as a person can do that better than you typing it out, or better than the brand, the logos and the colors. The best way to me is for the person to hear it from you. So don't be afraid to go live. Don't be afraid to do Q&As. Don't be afraid to be a little bit vulnerable. Of course, set your boundaries. You want to make sure that you know kind of where you're comfortable, because that tends to be a little bit tricky on social media. You feel like you need to say everything and you need to expose yourself, and you absolutely do not. Create those boundaries. I have them. People say I share a ton, but there's a lot I don't share. There's definitely a balance there, and there's a way to do so. So now I want to move into plan. And again, I'm going to mention consistency, because that is going to be the number one recommendation from not only myself, but just industry standard when it comes to trying to build a brand and trying to market on social media. So the term brand, let's talk about just branding in general. Branding can consist of, it's the logos, it's the colors, it's the, when I see the M arch, I know that's McDonald's, and that's your brand. People want to know, okay, if I see McDonald's, I know, like Happy Meal, I think of it instantly. So when people think of Kameron Monet, I want them to think, okay, social media, influencer, attorney. Those are trigger words you want people to think of. So start to think and sit down and say, okay, if I'm going to create I call them 3 content pillars. So for me, it would be, I'm an attorney, I'm an influencer, and I'm an entrepreneur. Very broad, but you're going to narrow it down. So, okay, if we're going in the attorney category, what specifics do I want to talk about, or what specific content can I plan that focuses on that first content pillar? So in my planning, I write down video content, photo content, and written content. So the written content can be in the form of a blog post, can be in the form of a caption, or even just a quick blurb that I'm going to put on my Instagram story or on a quick Facebook status. So I may talk about, okay, influencer marketing contracts, or influencer marketing agreement, or just influencer marketing in general from an attorney perspective. So that's something I may put in that category, and so on and so forth. So a lot of times it seems overwhelming to plan this content, or what do you post, or how do you even start? So you have your 3 content pillars. It really helps, because you know, okay, I can't talk about something random that has no reference to any of my content pillars. You want to make sure everything relates in some instance to each of your content pillars. And it also helps when you get in a rut and you're like, I'm not feeling creative, I'm busy with work, and I don't have time to think of social media. You can just go into your content pillars and you list your ideas and just pick something and go ahead and throw it on your social media. Also, with planning, have a strategy. So strategy can be tricky. You want to make sure that, again, it aligns with your purpose. If your purpose is to create an impact, your strategy is going to look different if you want to build your business. So personal branding is separate, but building your business, you want to be very specific on the content that you're presenting. You may want to do more tips and tricks. You may want to do more legal tip Tuesdays or whatever the case may be. You want to focus more on your business. For me, for example, I am now promoting a lot more about social media consultations, social media audits that I do for several different people, or social media management, or influencer marketing contracts. So those are different categories than my specific personal brand content pillars. So let's focus on, let's say, social media consultations. Okay, so there's one pillar. What content can I put in there? It's completely different than my personal branding. That's my business content. What can I put in there? Okay, well, I want to give tips and tricks on what you should look for on social media, how you should brand, how you should market, what is social media, why you should even be on the platform. And a lot of those questions can be answered depending on the content that I present. Video content, to me, again, I'm going to constantly ramp and rave about video content because I truly believe that is where you find true value and where you really find growth on social media. And I get it. I have business cards. Y'all have business cards. We all have business cards. But there is nothing like having a social media digital business card. That's exactly what your personal brand and your business brand is. It's your digital business card. You can only pass out so many business cards, and a lot of us are at home. So it's not like we're interacting with people like we used to. And even to that extent, business cards get lost, they get thrown away, they get dropped, they change. So why not have a platform on social media that is your business card? And that's really the goal when it comes to social media branding and marketing for business owners and entrepreneurs and things of that nature. I do want to show you guys my branding guide really quickly before we continue to talk about content strategy, because I think that'll help you give a visual of what I mean. So this is how I set up my branding guides as well as for my clients. The purpose of this really is to not only help you, but to help people that you hire on, contractors, for a variety of different things. We can't do it on our own. Social media can be, like I said, intimidating and scary and overwhelming. So if you have this, not only will it help you when it comes to creating your content, whether it's, say you're doing 3 tips on your social media and you're like, I don't even know what font, what color, what logos, where are my logos? It's all over my laptop. Here you have your branding guide that you can simply create. I did this in Canva. Canva is free. Of course, you can upgrade to the premium form of the platform, which I do recommend. It's not too expensive, but the free version is amazing. You can do this very quickly. How I did is I just pick fonts that go with my brand. I also use this on my website and across my social media platforms. These are the colors I tend to lean towards, and then my logos, and then my profile picture, which I actually need to update. So it's just a great way for you to have an all-in-one resource when it comes to branding, and it helps with your planning and it helps with your marketing. Because like I said, branding is personal and it's business. On your branding guide, you're going to have a combination of them both. I think that's a great place to start. And aside, and the colors, I know you're looking at it, you're like, what is all those hashtags? That's the exact color. So this is also a great resource if you want to hire a web designer. You don't have to think, okay, what are my fonts, or what are my colors, or they're asking me about the color, number, and letter. Like, what the heck is that? Send this to them and boom, it's super easy. It makes it easy for everyone involved. If you have an assistant, if you have a social media manager, this just allows you to kind of start to delegate those tasks a little bit once you already have your purpose, once you already know what platform you want to be on. And then that way it's easy for you to build your content strategy and your content calendar, really. So I want to talk specifically about building your content calendar. So there's several different ways to do it. I have 2 main ways that I tend to lean towards. One, I tend to lean towards planning it for the month. It all depends on what is coming up in that month, if I have a launch or if there's a specific calendar holiday that's coming up that may relate to my brand. I may plan that out. So like February, Black History Month, I'm probably going to just plan that out by the month because I know I want to, of course, talk about Black history. and things of that nature. So you can do it by the month. So you just do it, like I say, a week before the start of the next month, plan it out, put it on your calendar, on your Google Calendar, put the alerts, and you can also draft content on Facebook as well as Instagram as well as YouTube. You can go ahead and draft it, so then it's already in there. You don't have to use a separate platform. Of course, there are several different platforms you can use, such as Hootsuite, as well as social. I'm drawing a blank. I forgot the name, but it's Sprout Social. But Hootsuite, both of those are great platforms. Of course, there's a payment that you need. So I say just go ahead and use what's already within the platforms. They provide an area for you to set content drafted. So then once it's already in there, you can put the photos, you can put the hashtags, you can put the tags, the location, and all of the things already in there in the caption. So then by the time you're ready to make it live, you have your alarm set or you have your assistant do it or whatever the case may be, they can go ahead and just put it live and that's it. There's no need for you to actually go in there and constantly think day by day, okay, what am I going to list on here? So I just simply do an Excel spreadsheet, but there's so many different ways you can do it. You can simply just put it on your calendar and write, okay, Monday, I'm going to talk about Motivational Monday quote, and here's the image I'm going to put on there, draft it, and you're good to go. Also, sometimes I tend to lean towards doing it weekly because things change, life change, things come up, of course, in our society that we may want to talk about in our businesses and on our brand. So you can do it weekly. So Sunday night or Saturday, the week before, you may plan your content and so on and so forth. So that's just a way. So you're not having to constantly think in the moment. And I think that's a lot of times where people lose that rhythm and lose the consistency when they think, oh, I need to think in the moment. Today I need a post, but you have nothing planned. You have no idea where you're going. And that is just not going to be able, you're not going to be able to sustain that for the long term. So just get into a habit of planning your content a week before, or at minimum a month, or at least a month before. So then that way you already have a game plan. And I know I slightly mentioned like holidays, but that's a great starter when it comes to coming up with your content. Don't be afraid to play around different holidays. It's the holiday season right now. Don't be afraid to do different discounts because it's the holiday season. Or like I said, Black History Month, maybe you want to play on that a little bit. It just depends on what your brand is and how it can interact. But of course, make sure it aligns with your purpose and who you are and who your brand and business is as well. A few other platforms I just want to mention when it comes to helping you create content. So Canva, I mentioned that, but it is an exceptionally great platform when it comes to coming up with your brand colors, your brand fonts, as well as marketing materials. You want to make sure everything is cohesive. All of your platforms should look like you. When people see any of your platforms, they should know, okay, that's her color, or that's her font, or that's her brand, or that's her logo, or that's her saying. You want everything to be so cohesive that no matter where they are, they know that's who you are. And that also helps you build credibility because there's no question as to who you are and what you're presenting. And then another source that I like to use is, it's called InShot, InShot, and it's a great platform for you to start to do some video editing. It's not confusing at all. It's super easy to use and you can get the hang of it very quickly. I use that for my Instagram TV as well as my Reels. It just depends, but it's a great resource software for you to use for video content. And then iMovie, of course, that is another video software, a little bit more, I'd say, advanced than InShot, but it's super easy to use. And once you get the hang of it, it's not as complicated as like Final Cut Pro and all those other video editing software. But I think having these softwares in the back of your pocket can also help elevate your content and elevate your marketing. Because think about it, we're always everyone's selling something online. That's just what it is. And that's good because your content, you should post with a purpose. I'm not going to post a photo without a purpose. Maybe it's to create inspiration or motivation. Maybe it's to push someone to my affiliate links. Maybe it's to push someone to my consultation calls, etc. And that's kind of the mindset that you should have when you're planning your content out. Okay, what is this week going to be? Maybe you do it weekly. Maybe you do it monthly. Maybe you do it day by day. So for instance, first week could be we're all going to push our consultation calls. The second week could be we're going to push our products. The third week is services, etc., etc. Find what you feel comfortable with and just try things. Don't be afraid to try and fail. You can delete it. You can archive it. It's okay. I've been there. We've all been there. But just don't be afraid to get out there and try to build your brand on social media because now is the time to do so. It's doing nothing but growing. So you might as well get on there. Don't be afraid. Just get on there and start to post and see what works for you and see what works for your audience. It has to be a balance between what you like to post, what is helping you post, but also what your audience likes. And sometimes that can be difficult to find, but the best way to do that is to keep trying. So I could go on and on, but I want to, of course, leave some time for you all to ask any questions. Any questions?
About to say, we have questions for you. If they don't engage, or if they're engaging on profiles where I can't see their questions, I do see that they're liking and reacting to your stuff, but it doesn't look like I can find anybody commenting yet. They'll probably comment after you've given even more great advice. So
Okay,
we do have some questions
great.
for you so they can get to know you a little bit. So this is kind of taking you through the journey of, what made Cameron Cameron. So the first thing I always ask people is, tell me more about you that I can't find on paper. So even though you are a influencer, what is the things that make you Cameron? What is the person behind all of the branding that you
So
just
I
gave
have
everyone?
always been creative. I've loved performing arts ever since I was little. I was in musicals, I was in plays. I had an old school camcorder when I was little. I've always been interested in digital and just media in general. So it now that I think about it, hindsight 2020, it's really a natural progression for me. So after I stopped doing like the performing arts and short films, then I realized that social media was here and social media was growing. I used to watch a ton of YouTube videos, and I wasn't really on Instagram. That kind of was like, I got on there a little bit later in the game, but I love creating video content. So I just started posting content about hair, makeup, all of the things, all the beauty things. And then I went to law school and I was like, y'all are going to get this law school content. And then I realized that social media isn't just a place for beauty influencers, fashion bloggers. There's a place for professionals. There's a place and there's a need for professionals. People need to see that professionals, that we're real people, that we go through real things, that we're relatable, that we're not just Cameron and Buckner LLC. We are people as well. And that to me is why social media is so powerful for businesses and for companies, is because we're now opening the door and showing people that we are real people and that we can help you and that you shouldn't be afraid of us. And this is why you should invest in my business, because I'm not just LLC. I'm also just a human and I have a family and I have friends and things like that. And I think that makes us more relatable. And I think that's why people tend to purchase more and be more willing to pay more when they know somebody a little bit better, especially on social media.
Awesome. And you have one question from the audience. I'm pretty sure it's from my private Facebook group, so I don't think they enabled StreamYard, but they said, how do you differentiate between your personal brand and your business brand? So this happens a
when
lot
I think
with
about it,
entrepreneurs.
I know earlier I said they're one and the same, and I stand by that. The difference is your personal brand, you can show the behind the scenes. So on my business brand, I may just talk about the products that I'm selling and talk about the services that I'm selling and give tips and tricks about those services and brands and products and keep everyone up to date and do the coupon codes. But on my personal brand, that's where I show you shipping is hard to do, but they just went out on time. That's where I show you my camera equipment just failed on me, but this is how I figured it out. Y'all go check out my business page, because now you can see the end after I just had to go through all these camera struggles. That's where you kind of push the door back and open the stage up for everyone to see what's really going on. How did the product actually become the product? So say you're selling a notebook, you may on your personal page walk people through the process of how you found your vendor, of how you came up with the logo and all of those things, while still on your business page you're of course showing sneak peeks of the product and telling more people about the structure of the product and the information that you're going to receive from the product and things of that nature. So I hope that helped. That tends to be where I suggest and what I tend to do. For me, my personal page is my business page right now, but I think for many businesses, this is a great way to utilize both, where you're still sending people not only from your personal page, but to your business page and back and forth.
And other question we had, this all the time comes up because you never had to struggle, right? Everything just came easy to you, and you just naturally became a huge influencer on Instagram. You're pretty sure you didn't have to do any work. It was all easy, right? Probably.
Girl.
So can you tell us about your ouch point or your let's get real moment where you can relate to a lot of other people with your struggle when you first started this? Because a lot of people don't believe that people who are wildly successful had to do any work. They just really just fell into it or are the product of good circumstance.
Yeah, I've had several. But I think in the beginning and even in the middle, as you grow and your business grows and your personal brand grows, you have to pivot. and you have to get comfortable with those pivots. So maybe at first you're like, I'm offering notebooks. That's what I'm selling, notebooks. But then you get so excited about the notebooks and you build up all this hype and excitement, and then you don't sell any. And you're like, what the heck happened? Everyone's so excited. So, there's those moments. And then maybe you're selling the notebook and you sell out, and then you realize this is not something that I'm passionate about. It's not what I really want to do. It's not my real purpose. So you have to pivot there. So that's happened to me where I'm offering a service and I realize that's not really aligned with what I want to do. So it's the trial and error that a lot of us have to go through, for sure.
Awesome. And a follow-up to that question, which is a good way to recover, is what drives you to transform your experiences into something positive? So how do you use what you just said to something positive in the market, and how do you use it as opposed to just be a victim of it?
That kind of falls back to the first question about make a difference between your personal brand and your business. So people on the business side are going to see the glitz and the glams. A lot of times they're going to see the end product, the great, the exciting, the sellout, and all those things. But on the personal side, that's where you get real. That's where you tell them, hey, you know what? That notebook that I sold, it's just not great. I missed out on something so important that I really wanted to add in that notebook. I really forgot to add at the bottom. I really wanted to put motivational quotes, and I just ran out of time. I had a deadline. I didn't get to do that. And then with that, you're also pitching. So now they're like, dang, I really would like a notebook that had the quotes in it, even though the one she didn't have that I bought. How can she talk more about it? And then you talk about, explain, okay, well, oh man, I would love to put the quotes, and these are my ideas. And I don't know if you all would be interested, and maybe I can come up with a 2.0 of the notebook, and then maybe I can sell the ones with the quotes. And that's kind of that's how I do it on when you're thinking marketing in a business standpoint, where you're kind of twisting the negative into a positive and also pitching it as something new. So that's kind of what I would suggest, even if it was a completely new product. So say the notebooks, you're like, and I'm just saying that because I have a notebook here, but you're like, oh, the notebooks didn't work. I realized that I really want something more personal. I really want to connect with you all more one-on-one. The notebooks just wasn't it. I appreciate you guys, but what do y'all think about like a coaching service? I don't know, but I just know the notebook was kind of how I got started with my business. I was able to plan. I was able to prep. I was able to do my to-do list, and you all loved seeing that. But I want to talk to y'all. I want to talk to you about your to-do list. I want to talk to you about your plan. I want to help you build your plan and help you show you how to utilize that notebook. So that's kind of how I would do it, where you really bring light to the negative. Don't be afraid. Don't try to push it aside. Oh, it's okay, let me just jump. Sometimes there's a way to utilize that, mold it into something else, and now you're pitching something completely different.
Awesome. And what's your pro tip that you use whenever you're talking to any prospective client that really kind of sells them on the type of value that you offer that's very different from anybody else in your industry, or maybe it's the same, right? But the way that you offer it hurts a little bit less. So what's the pro tip that you have in the industry as to why people would use your services or why that service would be important?
I think listening is so important. A lot of times clients tell you exactly what their pain point is. Sometimes it's not even what you think of. You can have the whole list, the plan, the to do, and your structure and how you plan your consultation calls, but then they may say something that triggers a completely different way that you need to address the situation, and it's going to better benefit the client, because that's always the number one goal, is to make sure you are doing something that is going to actually help the client with whatever their pain point is, not just give them a speech that you presented. You want to make sure that you are listening. That would be my number one pro tip.
I like that a lot. I do. We do not listen. So this is a fun question. And we're all diverse. So this question might be a surprise, but what do you do to make sure that it's more inclusive and encourage others to do as well? So how do you use your brand to increase diversity or to make it more powerful in the clients that you do serve?
Honestly, I think it's being authentic and being just genuinely who you are. I always let's back up. This is great. So when I'm creating my content, I think of a target audience. I didn't mention this because you don't necessarily have to, especially starting out, but once you kind of build your purpose and have your platforms and create your plan, then the next step would be to think of your target audience. So I think of one specific person, very, very, very specific person. And this is a very hard strategy to grasp, because you don't want to be exclusive. You want to be inclusive. So But by thinking of that one person, you'd be surprised of how many other people that don't even relate to that person will be a magnet to your content. So I think of a Black female, young professional, let's just say that, a Black young professional female. So I'm going to build my content around that specific person. But by me just doing that, or genuinely, I'm going to organically build an audience that can relate to that. So maybe they're not Black, but maybe they're a young professional. Maybe they're not young, but maybe they're a professional. Maybe they're not a lawyer, but maybe they're an engineer that can relate to the professional topics that I may be discussing. Or maybe they're not even interested into social media as far as like a job, but they're interested in social media for a business. So there's a way to be so narrow in who you're talking to. That way you're talking to everyone. It makes no sense, but it's a concept that really, really does work. I've been doing it and it really does work. Also, don't be afraid to be adaptable. Adapt to different clients, different rooms, join different Facebook groups so you can be introduced to a variety of different people. Don't always just go to your one audience and one place you're comfortable and your one group that you're so used to engaging with. Go ahead and venture out and join different Facebook groups and interact in there. Not interact to the point where you're like, I got a service, you should buy from me, you should follow me here. No, you want to organically engage and be genuine about it. And people are going to naturally gravitate towards you just because you're being genuine online. So I feel like that was a long answer, but I hope that answered.
It did. So this is a really fun question. So COVID forced us all to kind of innovate. And what was your innovation that you created during COVID that you think would be good if you are interested in revamping or basically reinventing yourself, because we go through multiple periods of reinvention. So how did you reinvent yourself during COVID?
Like I said earlier, I think trying different content forms is going to be really, really great right now because so many people are online. And if you're new to like the online space, that's the best time to try different things because you're not talking to as many people. You can do the trial and error phase. And with us all being home, we're busy, but we do have more time to test the waters with social media and online presence, to do research on it. I'm heavy on research. I'm constantly researching my craft. I'm in a YouTube masterclass right now. I've been on YouTube since 2014, but it's constantly growing. So I constantly want to stay up on top of analytics and all of the things like that. So take this time to research social media, research the platforms, get engaged on the platforms, be just the audience. I do that a lot. I follow several different influencers just to simply watch them, not necessarily to gain anything, just to interact with them and see what I like and then implement that on my platform. So that's definitely what I would recommend, is to do some research and just test out different content forms.
Awesome. And everyone probably thinks this because you're perfect. You don't have anything that you could possibly improve because you got it all together. But just in case you don't, what could you improve on in your practice, or what have you noticed that is something that you still struggle with as you continue to build?
Absolutely. So I think the number one thing for me is being able to delegate. A lot of times our business is our baby, it's our craft, it's ours. Even our social media, we're like, no, we want to do everything, but I don't have to be involved in everything and it still can work. So delegating has definitely been a struggle. And I think a lot of us can relate to that on some level or not. Even when it comes to branding and marketing, sometimes we're like, no, this is our quote. This is what we're doing. This is the image we're using. When there's a professional that's like, we got to try this. Let's just try it. Let's just try it and see what happens. Let's just try this. So being open to delegating and listening to experts in different fields can be tricky.
Awesome. And people have opportunities, remote internships. Are there any of those types of things at your new business?
Not at this time. In 2021, I do intend on hiring, but none at this time.
Okay. And then there's been a huge Black-owned business upsurge. Have you ever been thinking about social media as a form of protection? These audits, are you thinking of it as a protective tool that you can help Black business owners with, or are you looking for ways to protect them with your branding?
I'm not sure if I understand the question, but not necessarily. So
it's more so about things that you consider. So a lot of Black-owned businesses don't know the analytics, the insights that you're talking about. Sometimes they buy these programs, on the Facebook. So how can they figure out when they're being like taken advantage of, or if it's a use social media audit? Because I've seen a lot, And a lot of marketing people will say, I'll do it $100 a month, but help us understand what a good plan kind of looks like, so that someone who is trying to get one of those audits done can understand what they should be looking for.
Absolutely. So I provide social media audits, and I also have had other people do social media audits on me, just to kind of get an idea of what that looks like. And I've seen several different ways it's done. What I like to do is, of course, I have like my standard outline of kind of how I approach it, but I want, again, to listen to what the client needs. So if I'm working with someone and they're hiring me for a social media audit or social media consultation because they're trying to launch something, that's a different conversation than someone that is simply just wants a cleanup of their social media platform. So when it comes to Black-owned business, there's several things that I would recommend. Of course, when you come up with the name, grab the Instagram, get the trademark if you're for sure with the name. At minimum, get the Instagram account if you don't already, because then that way at least you can show use that you've used it in some way, or the website. Of course, get the domain and all of that things. But when we're talking social media specific, go ahead and grab the Instagram. I have several Instagrams that are private right now, just with names that I may use in some point. So you want to make sure you do that. Also, avoid clicking everyone's direct message. So you may get spam. Make sure you're using the filters that you can do in several different platforms. There's keywords you can block. There's names you can block. There's people you can block. Like, have no shame in your block game, okay? Also, be aware of bots. So bots will be someone that may say, oh, I love this. DM us. Let me send you something. No, if someone wants to work with you on, especially in influencer marketing space, they're going to send you an email, or they're going to DM you directly. They're not going to ask you to send them a DM. So just delete those, ignore those, whatever the case may be, things like that. Also, don't ever share your personal information in a direct message, because if your account becomes compromised, someone hacks your account, now they have your personal information. So whenever you're sending personal information on social media, have them send you an email. Just do not, even if it's somebody you know, do not put your personal address or information on social media. I think there's several different things, but I definitely would go over those things in a social media audit. I think that's very important. And then also just understanding the platform and how it works, and understanding the insights and the analytics, and not going into too much detail, because a lot of times we don't need all the techie details, but knowing the bare bone basics, like, when is my audience online? What time are they online? What days are they online? What hashtags are working? What hashtags are blocked? Hashtags can be blocked, and if you use those hashtags, then now your post is blocked, and Instagram, YouTube, etc. is not promoting your content as they usually would, because they think you're a bot or hacking or something like that. And also, just never buy followers. I've never done it. There's no purpose. I'd rather grow slowly, organically, than buy bots and followers, because it's just not the way to do. You want to build an organic audience.
Awesome. And this is one of those times where you kind of tell them more about you and the business. So we're at that part of the presentation where you talk about your business and with an offer, and then some type of motivational message, and then we will sign off.
Great. So I do offer two types of social media audits. I have just the bare social media audit, where I'm going to review one or two of your platforms. If you don't have a platform, I will also start one for you. Sorry about that. I also have a VIP social media audit, where I audit up to 3 social media platforms, including, I could start one depending on, your needs and your desires there. In the social media audit, I'll do a deep dive into your social media platform's performance. I'll evaluate your current content. We'll talk about analytics and your strategies to optimize that social media platform, whichever you may choose. I also will walk you through with how to create your content calendar and your content schedule, which works best for you as well as your brand. So those are 2 offers. I also offer social media consultations. This depends on really what you're looking for. So some people want to become influencers, content creators, and they want to make money online. That's a different consultation than people just want a deeper dive, even further than the audit. If you want me to walk you through your content calendar on Zoom, I will walk you through that. There's a variety of different things on my social media consultation. So if you go to CameronMonet.com, you will see those offers. I'm also offering just you all on here a 20% off. If you see down in the little, I love that thing. I love that. You guys will see my website as well as the offer. But if you go to CameronMonet.com and you book a social media audit between Monday and the end of this year, this next following Monday, so December 14th through the end of the year, you do not have to book the audit this month. It could be into the new year, but as long as it's booked, within that time frame, you can use the code BWMB for 20% off. I'd be glad to help you out. I've helped out a variety of different people for a variety of different purposes. So yeah, just don't hesitate to reach out. And I'm excited. Everyone should be online. And if you're interested in making money online, I'd be glad to talk to you about that, because think about it. If I'm gonna promote Bolt House anyways, I might as well get paid for it. So yeah.
And what's your motivational message for people who probably are still, even after hearing all of the great points you're making, are like, I don't know, Kameron, I think I'm just going to go and we'll just see what happens. You know, if it worked, it worked. Like, what is the benefit of going through this process? What do you see as the positives? And then what do you see most entrepreneurs see as negative about this process?
Okay, so I'll start with the negatives. It's the intimidation factor that comes with posting online. It's being vulnerable. It's opening up things that you don't want to talk about, or maybe you may say something wrong, or somebody may take something wrong, and negative comments and things like that. I think that would be kind of the negative group that comes with social media. But 9 times out of 10, none of that really matters, and none of that really happens. A lot of times it's people that don't even know you, don't even know your brand. Bippity boppity blocked. Okay, I will block somebody in a moment. So I wouldn't even worry about that. And there's no need to be perfect on social media. It's not supposed to be the glitz and the glam. Yeah, there's this negative connotation that that's what social media is. It's just this highlight reel, but it doesn't have to be. It can be the real. And that, I think, is more beneficial than creating this facade of perfection on social media that's just not real. I wouldn't want to buy from somebody that isn't showing the real. Nothing's perfect. No one's perfect. I'd rather buy from someone that shows, that have walked me through, hey, I struggle doing this, but now I want to help others because I pushed through and I created this book that now I can provide to you step by step on how you can get out. And always remember that what's for you is for you, no matter what you put online, no matter what you're doing offline. If someone's going to follow you, they're going to follow you for you regardless. So just try it out, test out different content, and talk to a broader audience. You're going to be able to build a stronger clientele, a faster clientele, a wider audience because you're on social media. There's no way I could talk. I have 77,000 subscribers, I think, on YouTube. There's no way I'd be able to talk to all 77,000 people, even on an email list where they'd actually be able to listen and go back to it over and over and over, than I can on YouTube and on social media in general. So don't be afraid to just get out there and do it.
Yeah, I heard her, y'all. She's slight plug, 77,000, not 77, but 77,000 subscribers on YouTube. I looked at that actually this morning. It's like, yo, Kameron's killing it. I can't even people, you know, they coming. But it's cool because I already booked my VIP audit with Kameron.
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
So my thing is this, Kameron, as you have entered this field, I know that this wasn't necessarily the first place that you started. You were actually not even from Birmingham. So tell us a little bit about, you know, where you're from and your origination, like your roots, because I just think that's fascinating that you've managed to continue to make this brand for yourself, even in Birmingham. And you even, I think, picked up with April, who just spoke. You've picked up some digital social media content creation with the Black Women Lawyers of Association of Alabama. I don't know how to say it. Y'all know how to say it.
Black Women Lawyers.
I'm just a chartered member. Don't judge me.
Yeah. So
I'm paper.
Okay. Good night. So I'm originally from Flint, Michigan. I graduated high school there and all the things. Actually, rewind. I was born in New York, Manhattan, New York, and then I was raised in Michigan. I went to undergrad at Kennesaw State University. I majored in political science with a minor in criminology. I had no idea about law school. I told my advisor, he was a lawyer, and I was like, I want to go to law school. And he was like, what about the LSAT? And I said, who is LSAT? So that's really what motivated me to start creating videos on YouTube about my law school experience. Because like I said before, I really just talked about beauty. I didn't know people wanted to hear about anything professional or schooling or anything like they do now. So I just picked up my camera and literally brought it with me to law school. And I documented that journey. And now I have thousands of students that applied to Cumberland and actually attended Cumberland because of my videos, which I think is amazing. But that just goes to show you the impact that you can truly make on social media. I literally had people apply to Cumberland School of Law simply because I attended Cumberland and discussed my ups and downs and my tricks and how I got in and how I graduated and passed the bar and things like that. Just by simply showing who I am and my journey, that I built such an impact. I think that alone shows you what you can do on social media. And then moving to Birmingham for Cumberland, I toured several different schools. I got a partial scholarship. I'm going to keep it real. I keep it real on my social media platforms, and I attended Cumberland. I had a great experience. Absolutely loved being on the national trial team. That truly made my law school experience. Graduated, passed the bar by the grace of God. I worked for a time, about a year, at a employment litigation law firm, and then I realized that my purpose was elsewhere. I realized that I loved creating content online and that there was a need for an attorney that was able to bridge that gap. So now I help influencers with their contract, and I just do some social media consultations as well as social media audits, and of course create content for a variety of different brands. Not to name drop, but to build credibility. I've worked with Pandora, I've worked with Subway, I've worked with Tom's, I've worked with smaller brands, I've worked with local brands. I just went on my first influencer trip where it was all expensive paid, and they also paid for the content. So I do know what I'm talking about. I've been in the social media space and influencer marketing since 2014. So I've learned a ton over the years, and I've been through the bridge between it was just fun, and then now we are in a place where influencer marketing is now $1 billion business. And at first we all were just on there creating content for free, but now it's a space where you can truly build a career, and that's exactly what I'm doing. So yeah, that's a quick snippet about me.
And you know, Kameron, I know it's rude to ask, but I feel like I have to ask. Kameron, how old are you again, so that people understand how much you've been able to accomplish in such a short time? Because I don't think anybody realizes how young you are, and yet how motivated you are to help build brands at this given age. I don't even think that a lot of people have even established their brand at this age. So what is age for this portion, just to show and signify how ahead of the curve you are?
Yeah, I'm 27 years old. Okay, 27. And getting better.
Before she turned 30, y'all, she beat 77,000 subscribers on YouTube. I'm just saying, y'all, if you're trying to develop something, it's not too bad to have a lot of subscribers. But I mean, who could possibly say they have organic followers? Yeah. That's the thing. That's what I love about her brand. And I'm nosy, so I go through everybody's content and I check. I was like, oh, you got a lot of followers. Let me go see. Oh, bye. Right. So I'm really excited that you got a chance to come on and talk. And y'all just got tons of free content from Kameron. And I just thank you, Kameron, because y'all, she charged for this, and it ain't cheap. Yeah. It's not. It's worth it. I told y'all I got the VIP. I didn't get the little basic one. Yeah. All of it. So, but I say all that to say, guys, if you guys do have social media needs, I really do want to take this time to highlight Kameron. The one reason I think is really important is that Kameron, I don't even know how Kameron and I connected. I think it was Instagram, if I'm not mistaken. And we just randomly decided we're going to do a photo shoot and go take some pre-law ladies to lunch off of Instagram. Then Kameron did a video interview for me when I first started my Dear Future Lawyer brand that has now grown like crazy, out of this world, whatever. But I really loved her authenticity. Like, I can remember that back then. So the fact that she's going into the social media field and helping law firms and lawyers and anybody in the legal industry try to develop that brand, she was the same way back then. And I mean, there's a better compliment than I could pay. So that's what I love about Kameron. If you guys want to contact her, she has already mentioned some things, but if you see it at the bottom, it's hello@KameronMonet.com. But is there any other way that they can contact you? I know that you have Instagram, so they probably want to go find all of your followers now on Instagram and YouTube. So go ahead and shout those out as well before we close up this section and do your final review offline.
Yeah, definitely make sure you guys follow me on Instagram at Kameron Monet, as well as YouTube at Kameron Monet, and subscribe to my newsletter at KameronMonet.com. I'll be pushing out a lot more content on my website, so I'm excited to kind of dip and dab into something new there. But definitely follow me on my Instagram and YouTube. That's where I'm pretty active.
Awesome. And me and Kameron are going to go talk on the Zoom call. So we will see y'all later. But thank you, Kameron, for attending. And you guys know, you had a great speaker. So, I got to show her off one more time because it's just a great photo. But the next speaker that you have up is Miss Veronique Brown. She's going to be talking about the importance of balance, staying sane and relevant as a business owner. And after all of those talks y'all just heard, now you need to hear some balance. So it's time for balance and get your life together. So y'all need to hear from Veronique in a short while. Kameron and I are going now. See y'all very, very soon.